Namaskar in Sanskrit, there's a saying that goes like this: Hridaya kuru kuru vataliye yate. It means when the heart becomes cruel, it eats itself. So the same heart that has the capacity to feel affection, love, and tenderness becomes the instrument of its own destruction when it turns cruel. This idea is beautifully expressed in English with the saying, "A cruel heart is its own executioner." A cruel heart does not need any external force to punish it, because its own negativity works like a chain and binds it to suffering. Let's try to understand this through an incident from ancient Indian history. Once upon a time, there was a famous sage named Dadichi Muni. He lived deep in the forest, far away from the distractions of the world. He was highly respected by the demons and the gods alike. All the celestial beings visited him, seeking his wisdom and his guidance. One day, a young demon approached Rishi Dadichi and said, "Respected Rishi, my mind is restless. My thoughts are chaotic. Can you please help me find peace?" The sage looked at the demon and said, "You have no peace because you do not have faith in yourself. Go out into the forest and bring me back the flower that grows at the end of the rainbow. Only then can I help you." The demon searched for the flower for 48 days, but he couldn't find it. Just when he was about to give up, he saw a beautiful woman holding the flower. He asked her where she got it from, and she told him it grew behind the waterfall at the end of the rainbow. She also warned him that there lived a terrible demon there who devoured anyone who entered his cave. But the demon wasn't afraid. He wanted to get the flower at any cost. He thanked the woman and went to look for the flower. As he approached the cave, he could hear the sound of chains dragging metal moans. His courage started to waver, but just then he remembered the restless state of his mind and the desire for peace. With renewed determination, he entered the cave. Inside, he found an old and emaciated demon chained to a rock. Blood was dripping down his mouth, and his eyes were filled with hatred. The demon asked the newcomer, "Who are you, and what brings you here?" The young demon explained about the flower and his quest for peace. Hearing this, the old demon said, "The flower you seek is right behind me. Take it and leave. Why do you want to disturb me?" The young demon was confused. He thought that this demon was the one who devoured everyone who came here. So why was he offering to give him the flower without any resistance? The young demon felt something was amiss, so he kept quiet and remained alert. He slowly moved behind the old demon to pick the flower, but suddenly the old demon screamed, "Stop! Don't take the flower!" Before the young demon could react, the old demon pounced on him and knocked him unconscious. When he regained his senses, he found himself chained to the rock beside the old demon. The other demon said, "You came here to take my flower, but now it seems you want me to give it to you." Patting the young demon on his back, he continued, "Tell me, how do you expect to gain peace by deceiving others?" The young demon was taken aback. He realized that he had been outsmarted, and that his deceit would only cause more suffering. Feeling ashamed, he apologized and admitted his mistake. The old demon then revealed the truth. He said, "I am cursed to live here until someone approaches me with a pure heart and asks for forgiveness. You have done exactly that, so your wish will be fulfilled." The old demon handed over the flower to the young demon and disappeared. The young demon took the flower back to Rishi Dadichi. The moment the sage saw the flower, he understood the demon's transformation. Instead of giving him a boon, he asked the demon to go back and break the old demon's chains. The young demon hesitated, thinking he had suffered enough. But then he realized that true strength lay in doing good to others. He returned to the cave and freed the old demon from his chains. Both the demons left the cave together and approached the sage. Rishi Dadichi gave them both blessings and the power to choose their next birth. The demons were so transformed that they requested to be born as human beings, vowing to live righteous lives. And thus they were reborn as noble kings, known for their kindness and compassion. Think about it. If the young demon had not entered the cave, he would have remained clueless about his deceitful ways and would continue to suffer with a disturbed mind. But his cruelty towards the old demon made him realize his own mistakes and ultimately led to his liberation. The cruel intention of taking advantage of the old demon ultimately destroyed the young demon's own ego and opened his eyes to the truth. We often say that it is our intentions that determine the results of our actions. Here, although the young demon had good intentions, his cruel thought of deceiving the old demon created a big obstacle in his path. It was his cruelty that became the reason for his suffering. Friends, we all have desires, and it's perfectly natural to desire nice things. But we should also be mindful of our intentions behind seeking those desires. When we approach someone with the sole intention of exploiting them or causing harm, even our good desires can turn into a source of suffering. There's a story about a king who invited a sage to his palace. The king had heard about the sage's extraordinary abilities and wanted to test them. He offered the sage a golden opportunity to make a wish, promising to fulfill it. But he also warned the sage to be careful, as everything was a gamble. If the sage chose wisely, he would get what he desired. But if he chose hastily, he would lose everything. The sage accepted the challenge and closed his eyes in deep thought. When he finally spoke, he said, "I want to see the entire kingdom from above, like how a bird sees it." The king was taken aback by the sage's unusual request. He had expected the sage to ask for gold, women, or land, but not this. However, he kept his promise and arranged for the sage to be taken to the highest tower in the city, which happened to be the king's wife's tower. From there, the sage could indeed see the entire kingdom as he desired. Overjoyed, he thanked the king and prepared to return. But then a thought struck him. He wondered if the king's wife might be jealous of the attention given to the sage. To test this, he turned back and asked for a golden lotus that the king's wife had once admired in the gardens. The king was suspicious, thinking the sage had changed his mind and now wanted something valuable. Still, he didn't want to break his word. So he sent the sage back to the tower to get a better view of the lotus. The king's wife was indeed very upset seeing the sage being favored by the king. When she saw him coming back to get the lotus, she became furious. Without asking any questions, she threw a pot of hot oil at the sage, drenching him. The sage simply stood there, calmly absorbing the pain. The king, hearing about this, rushed to the tower and was shocked to see the sage covered in oil. In a fit of rage, the king ordered his soldiers to put the king's wife in prison. When he turned to the sage to ask if there was anything else he could do for him, the sage said, "No, you have fulfilled your part of the bargain. Now I will tell you what I know." The sage then revealed to the king the hidden desires and secrets of his wife, exposing her jealousy and ill intentions. The king was shocked and saddened by this revelation, wondering how he hadn't noticed these signs before. Here, if the sage had chosen to ask for the king's wealth or the king's wife, as most people would have, his journey would have ended there. But he chose to ask for an experience, for a broader perspective. Had the king's wife not acted cruelly towards the sage, this incident wouldn't have unfolded. But her own negativity led to her downfall. My dear friends, when our hearts become filled with nothing but hatred, anger, and cruelty, it's like pouring poison into our own veins. Such negativity doesn't harm others as much as it harms us. When we are driven by negative emotions, we lose sight of the truth. We start to perceive everyone and everything through the lens of our biases. Ultimately, it's our own distorted vision that causes our downfall rather than any external force. Therefore, let us always strive to cultivate a pure heart free from cruelty. May this story serve as a reminder that a cruel heart, consumed by darkness, is bound to face the consequences of its own making. That's all for today, friends. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more such stories and to share it with your family and friends. Namaskar.